Hello, Black Magic here. This is a follow-up video from PvP Tamer Mage, aka the Shield Bash King. This first part of the video is just going to be a quick explanation of some of the strategies or tactics on how I use this character. And then after that, I'm going to show you how I built the character, the skills that are used, and how my Nightmare is built. So as you know, I am the Shield Bash King, and I see an easy opportunity to ruin that guy's day because he was running from a bunch of enemies, and I'm not nice. So now one of the best things about this template is you don't actually have to use your pet to be useful. It is a full-fledged Shield Bash Mage. So I mean, if you're not comfortable getting with your pet, so be it. As you'll see right here, I'm about to do a big combo. Never gone off my pet. This video right here is one of the combos that I'll be using is very shortly, although I did it a little wonkily, I did a little out of order. I generally try to do Explosion, E-Bolt right away, and then in the middle of casting my E-Bolt, I do Get Off My Mount and All Kill. But here you can see I did Explosion, All Kill, then E-Bolt. But either way, we still got the kill, it worked out. The reason why I prefer that, because if you delay to say all kill before casting your E-Bolt, it's going to be a little delayed on the E-Bolt, so you might not get it off. You know, it's just important. If you can see there, I did Explosion, I think Magic Arrow actually, all kill, and then quickly got right back on my mount right away, because there's a lot of people there. And that's the whole point of this template, is really you're trying to just get the combo damage between your Explosion and E-Bolt, and hope that your pet also casts like 3 or 4 spells on them at the same time. So while a Bach Mage would still only be able to cast Explosion E-Bolt, I'd be able to cast Explosion E-Bolt plus, say, Strangle, Pain Spike, Blood Oath, Evil Omen, whatever my Mare spam casts on them. That's additional. Shoot, I might even cast Flame Strikes. I think that was his Flame Strike actually right there. This part of the video was also to demonstrate how you need to be good at throwing bolas. Alright, so this guy's on foot. Obviously always target the footers. I'm probably going to try for a disarm on him first. But knowing he's a stealth ninja, I was, haphazard. I wasn't fully counting on getting him anyways. This guy's not fully healed, so I know I can do one of my big combos. Explode, E-Bolt, all kill. Dead. That was a good combo. Now my biggest combo, my #1 best combo, is an Explosion, Shield Bash, E-Bolt, all kill, which you'll see right here, which is a perfect demonstration, and then we'll go on to showing how this template is built. So he's already cursed. I drop my Explode, Shield Bash, all kill while I'm casting E-Bolt. And honestly, if you land all that at the same time, you should be able to pretty much kill anybody immediately. As requested, we will go over my Tamer Shield Bash Mage, aka the Shield Bash King's template. Over here, as you can see, this is my skill increase. I have 830 skill. It is real skill because I am not using the Mushroom's Apron or the Ninja Earrings, so it is 830 skill, which is 110. It's quite a bit. 120 Magery, you do not need. You could go as low as 107.5. I mean, if you're, or 110, I guess, but I wouldn't recommend anything lower than that. I gained 120 because I was able to fit it, and because the added benefits of having 120 Magery, which are you're able to cross heal people for significantly more. You're able to heal yourself for more. Your fields last longer, and you have a better chance of curing yourself. Things like that. So as far as the taming and lore, non-negotiable. It does have to be 120 taming, 110 lore. I mean, you could go 120 taming and 120 lore and 110 taming, either or, but it does have to be 120 and 110, or otherwise you're going to be failing on commanding your pet way too frequently out in the field for PvP. With 120 and 110, I believe it's 99%. It could be 99.9. It's one or the other. Whereas if you have 110, 110, it'll only listen to you, I believe, 90% of the time, and it literally makes it unviable in the PvP field entirely. So it is non-negotiable. Alright, now let's go to the stats. Okay. I have to curse myself first. Oh, I didn't even drink my agility potion. Alright, so now as you can see, I am strength potted, agility potted, and cursed. So my stats, in my previous videos, I've always told everybody to make sure that they are always 150 hit points after they cursed. Well, in this situation, as you can see, I still only have 130 mana after being cursed, which that pool is rather low. So I was willing to sacrifice 4 strength and 2 hit point increase in order to gain 8 more mana. So 2 hit points in exchange for 8 more mana. I have 3 extra stam over the 90 stam after I'm cursed, because like I said, you need to have 90 stam increase to be able to swing max swing speed. But let's say if you run through somebody, there you go, you drop under to like 84 or whatnot. If you don't have stam increase on your suit, you should go like 95, 97 stam. It's just because I do have 8 stam regeneration on my suit, I am able to get away with having a little lower, so 93. My refinements are always going to be the same. I've suggested this in my previous videos before, although I do believe in some of my older videos I suggested that maybe you could go like 73 physical and 72 cold. Well, in today's day and age, you just want to do 75 physical, 75 fire, and 75 energy. And here, let me apple so it's not confusing you. But there you go. You do want to make sure you're over 100 intelligence after being cursed. Otherwise, your mana is going to suffer big time, because apparently if you don't have over 100 intelligence, you lose like a significant mana regeneration bonus or something. I mean, this should be obvious, but I'll just cover it just in case. But I do have my fast cast buff on from Moonglow, so I am 2 fast casting. I am using the hit lightning cuffs, so I have 3 fast recovery on the cuffs, so I'm 2-7. Every single one of my templates will always be 45 hit chance, 30 defense chance. I've also discussed this in previous videos. I've experimented with 25 DCI and 35 DCI, and this is definitely my favorite. It's the sweet spot. And that covers the stats. Now let's actually go over the suit itself. So, the jewels are the very first thing that you will always focus on when building the suit. I've also said that before in previous videos, but I just want to remind everybody, so just in case. So this first jewel, I've always commented that you should be able to use 8 mod jewels whenever building a suit. Which in this case, I mean, it's 8 mods, but because I'm not using damage increase on my suit, or for this template, it's really only 7 usable mods. So, I mean, that kind of sucks, but because this jewel, or this ring, has 60 skill increase, and these other good stats with the hit point, or hit chance, defense, and swing speed, I decided to use this. And it made it a little easier for the rest of my other pieces. So the bracelet does use all 8 mods. Both of my jewels do have swing speed on it, so that covers my 20 swing speed. The 25 enhanced potions, instead of using the mushrooms apron, which would cover the enhanced potions. See, the mushrooms apron doesn't have the 10 dex bonus, and it only has 5 hit point increase. So if you're swapping out 1 mod for 2, it's a gain. to go this way anyways. I don't know if I explained that very well, but it's better to probably to do it this route for sure. I've covered this in previous videos, that the Mask of Call is by far the best headpiece in the game, and that still remains true to this day. However, it is also the only headpiece in the game for some reason that OSI will not let you transmog, which is beyond dumb. But the reason why is because this thing is ugly. Like, I mean, look at my paper doll, or my character. There is no hiding it. But, I mean, if you want the best suit possible, yeah, you're going to want to use this. You can use a shroud, which covers, you won't be able to see the Mask of Call anymore, but it covers everything else too. So, obviously use this new shield. It is, you got the 10 skill increase, and it's a very good shield. If you enhance this shield, you can gain the 2 hit point regeneration off of it. You'll have to ask one of your crafter buddies to enhance it for you. There is a recipe that they have to use to be able to enhance it, so do some research if they want to figure that all out. I've briefly went over the lightning cuffs, but any character that is a shield basher should be hands down using lightning cuffs no matter what. I actually just redid this template because, you know, it is quite a bit of skill increase, so I was having difficulties, so I figured, hey, I'll just use the plus 15 resist cuffs. I was having, you know, some problems with my shield bashes just not doing enough damage, or my combos, so I definitely switched it back out. I recommend always using the hit lightning cuffs. This Shadow Tabard actually did make building my suit a lot easier. I tried every variation, like, you know, the fast cast recovery, Apaltlet, or the Archlich robe, all of that, and I just couldn't find the best variation, and this actually just made it perfect, because that way I was able to swap out the talisman and get the things I really did need. Now, as far as the armor, these are the only items that are not artifacts. So as you can see, this has 15 Poison Eater, which you can assume because I'm also using, I'm going 15 Poison Eater on my robe, or cloak, meaning I have 30 Poison Eater. And the most important part is the fact that each piece of my armor has 4 mana regen. I mean, it also has the 3 hit point regen, or Sim Stam regen as well, but our focus is the 4 on the mana regen, making sure we're over capped because we want as much mana regen as possible. So as you can see, I am 15 Damage Eater, 30 Fire Eater, 30 Poison Eater. That covers everything else for my suit, but let's go ahead and look at the stats on the mannequin just so you can see. Switch clothes, view stats. Alright. So that is quite a bit of stat increase. 24 mana regen, 8 stam regen, the max hit point regen, which is 18. Which is also, you always want to be 18 hit point regen, so do calculate that all out. I mean, I know building a suit is complicated, there's a lot of factors that go into it, but, you know, make sure you do include that into your thought process. And I believe that covers everything. Alright, so we will continue on with, oh, wow, the Mare. I almost completely forgot to cover the Nightmare. Alright, let's animal lore this bad boy. Now this Nightmare, currently, alright, when I tamed it, it was 99% intensity. This is an admission of failure on my part. Before I trained this pet before actually training up the stam to 125, like for the free stats that you get. So as a result, this pink mare is now only 90% intensity. Just for anybody who's curious. 500 hit points. You don't need any less. You don't need any more. I wouldn't just keep that 500. Obviously, you want the max stam. You start off with 500 mana, but when you're done training the pet, anything that you might have spare, put into here, just because it will blow through its entire mana pool in seconds. Strength. 350, people might say this is low. Well, I am not focused on melee damage, I am focused on spell damage. And if it is doing melee, I prefer it to do a mortal strike than I prefer it to hit somebody for more damage. And let's admit, if it was like, let's say 500 strength, it would be maybe a 2 to 3 damage difference. I would rather my pet be able to cast 10 spells in 5 seconds than hopefully melee damage somebody multiple times in a row. Because, I mean, I've also tested this out with Bane Dragons and Wildfire Dostards and all that. But there's also many opportunities or times where a Bane Dragon will just miss 10 times in a row and literally do 0 damage. But if they're casting, you can pretty much count on reliable damage. 150 dex is the max. 700 intelligence is the max, which obviously this does have to be max considering spell damage is your main focus. 10 hit point regen, this is non-negotiable. That's just so if your pet does get damaged, you're able to get on your pet and not get off of it again until it's healed up. It does matter in certain circumstances, so make sure you don't go lower than 10. Mana regen is very important because, like I said, the pet will blow its entire mana pool in seconds. So get as high as you can. Anything over 20. 23 is ideal. Actually, if you can get higher than 23, great. People are probably really confused by this, right? Well, okay, resists take a lot of training points, and we're worried about damage output. We are not worried about this thing being a tank and being able to survive, or it's not a PVM, pet. It is strictly for quick damage output. Now, if it is under 65 resists, it will take too much damage. I have used it before. It's still usable, but it's way harder. Whereas 65, for some reason, it's just the sweet spot. It lives a lot longer. There's no problem of it dying. And if you were to go with anything higher, you're just wasting points. Because let's face it, in PvP, anybody who's trying to kill the pet, they're going to use AIs, armor Nors. So the resists are pointless in the first place anyways. Alright. Let's see, base damage. This is the last thing that you add. Very last. So make sure you max that out. Like I said, last. That's the third time I said it, but just reiterating. Skills. Like I said, we do not focus on melee damage. Therefore, we have 100 tactics, 100 anatomy. However, you do need 120 wrestling to make sure that your mare your mare actually hits the opponents on occasion, because if it had, let's say, 100 wrestling, you would never hit them. And if he were to, let's say, try to balk your pet down, which is crazy, right? But with if your pet only has 100 wrestling, he's going to be able to hit your pet every single time. So it does need 120, and it's also very clutch in moments where, like, let's say your mare might teleport in on the guy and then mortal strike him as he's taking a dump, which I have done before, or it has done. So Magery eval. So if you go with 100 Magery and let's say 120 Necro, I could be wrong on this, but from my experience, and I've trained over 50 of these PvP mares trying to perfect them over the last few years. In my experience, it'll blow its entire mana pool on nothing but Necro spells. It won't cast a single Magery spell. Maybe here and there, but very few. If you have, let's say, 100 Magery and 100 Necromancy, it's probably going to cast less spells, and it's probably going to try to melee more and use its specials, like the Mortal Strike. So you do always want to have 110, 110. If you could get 120, 120, I don't know what the difference would be. Maybe it would cast even faster, but if you have the skill points to be able to fit that in there, go ahead. I mean, you could sacrifice some strength to do it. That is something I haven't tested, but 110 seems to be the good place. Now obviously you do need 120 eval and 120 spirit speak, and this is a necromage, which takes an entire taming slot, all 1500 points, so that should be obvious, but if you're wondering why the stats are so low, this is why. And then it has the special ability of Mortal Strike. Now that does cover everything. Alright, now we will go on to tips and how I use this character, and think processes, combos, etc.